Chair now recognizes himself for 5 minutes. I wanted to really talk about naval policy, sir, but I got to clear up some things. First and foremost, I want to welcome the vast majority of my Democrat colleagues to the Doge Caucus because they want to streamline the acquisition process. So you're all welcome. We get together twice a week. Ma'am, I understand your experience in Djibouti. I lived there and I served there, and my experiences there are remarkably different than your testimony. And USAID is essentially paying tribute around the world like we did to the Barbary pirates. And that's why they need to be completely defunded and rebuilt from the ground up. So Thomas Jefferson did not want to get us involved in foreign conflicts, but he did on purpose because he didn't want to pay tribute anymore. And the Barbary pirates were taking our citizens and allies hostage and selling them into slavery. So let's just remember that. And also, ma'am, I would ask you, Dr. Carlin, have you ever been sitting down in a wadi somewhere and surrounded by the Taliban and have an A-10 come over and rip off some 30 millimeters and save you and your friends' lives? I'm going to guess the answer is no. So when we're talking about these legacy systems, we have to understand that A-10 platform has saved countless of my Navy SEAL brothers, Special Operations Forces around the world, and General Purpose Forces. So let's not just throw that out. General Keane, I want to personally welcome you home from Vietnam. And your service is remarkable. And if no one's told you that, I'm going to tell you that now. And our experiences were very similar. My generation fought Afghanistan. I fought in Afghanistan and Iraq and in the Horn of Africa. Bosnia-Herzegovina was my first conflict. And we just have to acknowledge the fact that we have the most highly educated and powerful military in the history of the planet, and we have not won a war in 80 years. That's what you and I have in common, sir. And part of the problem is, Ms. Carlin, you're representing academia essentially here, is that. There's a great book, if you haven't read it, it's called Best and Brightest. It's published in 1972. We haven't learned. We simply have not learned. We didn't learn from Vietnam. We didn't learn from Afghanistan. We didn't learn from Iraq. And I'm very, very concerned that we're stumbling our way back into another one of these conflicts by not focusing on the most important thing we can, and it's the first soft truth, that humans are more important than hardware. And when we focus on a lot of these systems are critically important, but we have to understand, at the end of the day, we have to have a group of people that are willing to go into a room and shoot somebody in the face. And that's what wins a war. I just wanted to frame that. So, General Keane, I understand that you are not a naval expert, but looking at the de-evolution of my Navy, I don't think we have a naval expert at this point. We have given the Red Sea over to the Houthis, and I don't understand that. The Straits of Malacca, what are we doing? So, General Keane, if we remember that humans are more important than hardware, what do you think you, as a recognized expert for decades in military leadership, what can we do to reshape the most important piece of this puzzle, and that's the human?
Well, using the example that you're describing, I mean, it's our unwillingness to confront the adversary that permits this, disaster going on in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. I mean, just think about this. We have had anti-ship ballistic missiles fired at Navy warships. When's the last time that's happened? That's never happened.
It's never happened.
And it has happened recently. And what did we do about that? Not much of anything.
So, General,
and we were in seconds. There were 300 people on that ship.
Right.
We were in seconds of that ship exploding.
Correct. So, General Keane, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just have a very limited time. My colleague, Mr. Jimenez, asked you a question, Ms. Carlin, about risk aversion. And what he was referring to is our naval officers and many of our military officers have become careerists. And I'd say that's why we lost Vietnam, that's why we lost Afghanistan, that's why we lost Iraq. So when our general officers and our field grade officers are focused more on their career than they're accomplishing the mission, which is protecting our citizens and our allies, we lose. And until that changes, we will never win another conflict again. My time has expired. Mr. Sorensen from the great city of Illinois is recognized for 5 minutes.